DAKKA Squadron. I'm not entirely sure about this one. Now, on the one hand, there has been a bit of a drought in 40k games recently, which is horrible, of course, and downright heretical, really, and so I really should be excited for a new 40k game, and I kind of am. I mean, the idea of a Death Squadron-style video game is awesome, and if you haven't read Death Squadron, by the way, do so. There are ways and means to read it online without having to pay, well, any money. Not that I would know anything about that, of course, but do it, because it's really, 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 really cool and funny. It shows you a great example of how the Orc, Air Force might in fact function. All of their insane machines, their ridiculous tactics. That's where the idea came from that Orcs understand friendly fire as the following. If you shoot at an aircraft and you hit it, then it was an enemy. If you miss, then it was a friendly. That's from Death Squadron, and it makes perfect Orc sense, absolutely. But this trailer looks ass. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but it looks like the trailer from some kind of mobile game. You know, the kind where you have a tablet and you steer the aircraft by pointing at the screen. That's what it looks like. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it actually is. They could, you know, be developing a damn fine game and just not have the budget for a proper trailer. Possibly, absolutely. It could be a great game, but if you're gonna do Death Squadron, now I think there would be two ways to do this. First, you do essentially a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, where you just, you know, follow the screen and you shoot at stuff that pops up on the screen in front of you. You can do that, and if infused with the correct amount of orcish humor, yeah, that could be cool. The other way to do it, the considerably more complex and difficult way to do it, would be to have it in the lines of a third-person shooter, perhaps, where, you know, you're following behind the aircraft as you zigzag your way through a level. You have to shoot the enemies, you can carry out various maneuvers, special weapons pickups, and such on. That too could work. The third option, which I hardly dare mention, is of course doing Death Squadron IL-2. Which would be, on the one hand, it would tickle my autism greatly, and I would absolutely adore it, but I don't think that is something we're going to be seeing in the near future, as awesome as it would be. So I'm not saying that this doesn't have some potential, but just the look of it. I shouldn't judge a book by its cover, I suppose, but I don't know. Again, if you do it like a side-scrolling game, it could be cool. A lot of it would then depend upon the design of it, the outlay, the style, you know, how well it captures the aesthetic, the humors of the orcs. Honestly, if you took Death Squadron as kind of a base thing, and then you added in, as they mentioned, different aircraft, like fighter bombers and such on, and then you gave them a few different clans as well, which they're also going to do, then you can add in a little bit of personality, you know, some different boosters. You play a certain clan, and they give you a boost to your ramjets, you know, your afterburners. One has homing missiles, which is, you know, missiles with grot strapped to them, with crude steering instruments, for example, stuff like that. And then you do some cool-looking missions where you, like, have to fly inside of the body of a giant gargant, dodging metal struts poking out everywhere, you know, flying past giant guns being loaded, and eviscerating little grots trying to jump down upon your aircraft. You know, if you manage to capture the chaotic, insane bullshit nature of Orc combat, it could work. Even with shitty graphics, it absolutely could work. I'm just not sure, because again, if you're going to have ass graphics, then you have to rely on other things, the charm or design to make up for it. I mean, one of my favorite games is Dominions 5, a game that looks like absolute shit. I mean, the UI design is dreadful, honestly. It's unbelievably unintuitive, and the units have, like, one animation as being 2D pixel sprites. They have their two, I suppose. They are standing still, and then they attack, and their attack is like moving their spear forward or something. It looks dreadful, and yet the sheer amount of mind-numbing depth and complexity of the game is what makes it so goddamn awesome. And, you know, if you just switch out mind-numbing depth and complexity with actually good humor and orcish nonsense, sure, yeah, there is a potential there. There is a possibility. But judging just by the visuals, by the fact that it looks very much so like a, let's be honest here, a bit of a cash grab mobile game, just kind of shat out onto the market, that I don't know if is a good idea, because Games Workshop were trying that. They were essentially handing out their IP to anyone and everyone. Anyone who wanted to make a 40k game could. And it resulted in some seriously good project. And it resulted in a lot of quite ass ones. A lot of ass mobile games in particular. And with Games Workshop now apparently being a little bit more circumspect with who they're giving out their IP to, for reasons we can only speculate in, you'd think they'd want to stay away from the mobile porty nonsense again, which might also be an indication that it isn't actually what it looks like. Now, they did mention it was coming out for PC and consoles, but these days consoles can occasionally include the more handheld variants as well. Basically iPads, etc. It's really difficult to judge over much based upon just the trailer, at least without being unfair and just judging it from its current visual effects, which, as mentioned, are meh at the best of times. It doesn't really give us that much insight into the humor or the style of the game either. Now, it does look like Fast and Furious insane fighter jet combat, which is good, absolutely. So at least they know what they're making, which is nice, you know. But still, I don't know if I can even call myself cautiously optimistic with this one. Skeptical waiting mode is what I think I'm going to be adapting here. Well, it could be good, like I said, and if it does work, maybe it could develop into something a little bit more complex in the future. Again, a cross between Death Squadron and IL-2 Sturmovik would be... And hell, oh god. So the latest IL-2s I think have been a little disappointing. I didn't play a lot of the latest one because I've heard a lot of bad things about them, but the original IL-2 Sturmoviks, they had some amazing campaigns, some genuinely good campaigns, some cool stories, some cool generated campaigns. They have one, for example, where you get into jets, which is really interesting, and you eventually end up getting a little bit over-ambitious, shall we say, in terms of your mission parameters. I shan't spoil it, because it's actually a genuinely pretty good story, but that with Death Squadron, with the cool and kooky characters, grot mechanics, orc flight bosses, all of the cool shit. The flight control tower literally just being a gaggle of grots yelling over one another, sending out messenger squigs with little wings flapping across the landscape, and you have to chase them down and kill them as in Death Squadron. There is some potential there. I'm just wondering if this game studio, with having produced a trailer like this, are able to live up to that. We can but hope, I suppose. What do you guys think? Am I getting a bit too hung up with the visuals? I can definitely see that. Again, one of my favorite games being Dominions. I feel a little bit hypocritical for dooming this just because of the visual design, but on the other hand, when you don't have that much more to actually go off, you kind of have to judge it based upon what you have. I guess we'll still have to wait and see. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Until then, have a good day.